Welcome back, and I will declare the adjourned open council meeting open, and welcome any of those that are still with us. We are going back to the recommendation on page 7, and I'm going to move from the chair 3.3 that council adopts the statement of proposal future of Levin Landfill statement of proposal 18th of November 2021. Also, there is an addition to that, and the supporting documents, Morrison Solutions business case, Levin Landfill business case redaction final, and Burl's Wellbeing case redaction final be attached. Could I have a seconder for that, please? And sorry, also the sorry, I didn't quite hear that, Ashley.
Rates increase before and after growth by option.
The rates increase before growth and after growth by option will also be part of that recommendation. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Allen, thank you. So the matter is open for discussion. In moving this, I do believe that the information that we have in front of us is sufficient to adopt this statement of proposal. I do believe it gives the community ample information to tell us whether they consider the option 1, 2 or 3 is the correct one. And I do believe that those that are particularly interested in taking some further information will have that 2 months to be able to do that. They will also have the time to submit to us, both in written form and be heard at deliberations before we make a final decision on the 10th of February. I know that, and I make reference to Councillor Mitchell's comments, while it might be not totally sort of a great process or system, that is often the way, unfortunately, of our democracy. The fact is that we do have to keep some material very quiet, sensitive. I keep hearing that this industry is a dirty industry, and the fact that we're still having to do this is unfortunate, but I do believe there is sufficient information for the public to make that support of the options. Is there any, David, you wish to go next? Thank you.
A couple of comments, Mr. Mayor. This particular issue, there is that tension which exists between commercial sensitivity and transparency. In other words, how much can we give the public around the drivers of those options? And that was the reason for going into committee. I'm pleased we did, because we had, I think, in there identified some real tensions around those 2 opposing but very necessary tensions. At the end of the day, on balance, Mr. Mayor, I think this is actually a very clear document. I think, I really like the subsequent version with the graphics and so on. I think it's coherently structured. I think the language is very accessible, considering the complexity of some of the technical subject matter. And I think also, I just want to acknowledge the introduction comments by Ashley around how this process of consultation will unfold. And if we listen carefully to the bullet points which she enunciated under the consultation process, there's something for everyone there, whether it be social media, conventional newspaper, the one-on-one meetings, which I really hope people will buy into, that ability to face the issue, both with experts but also with elected members. I think put it all together, and I think we've probably got as good as we can get. So for that reason, I do second the recommendation.
If you may, most.
Thank you, Mayor Wandin. This is a challenging, intense process, but we are elected as decision makers. What I hope that this redacted version of the business case and supporting evidence does is give the public confidence that we have had access to a really robust set of reporting, and that for commercially sensitive reasons, some of the information can't be publicly available, but they can see that it has been there and has been part of the decision-making journey for us, and I think that's a really important part to note. And the other thing that gives me some confidence in this is, as part of that consultation, we are providing the community access to subject matter experts as part of those publicly available meetings. And I think that will I will hope that will give the public another layer of confidence around the robustness of this process. So, despite the fact that, yes, I have concerns about the heavy nature of redaction, I do think I understand it to be an important part of the process, and I'm going to support it.
Yes, I mean.
Can I just clarify that the redactions discussed in committee and a process for re-looking at the redacted document is going to happen? So this here will be slightly modified before it goes out for consultation, will it?
Following, if we adopt the statement of proposal, the following recommendation is that the Chief Executive be given delegated authority to correct minor editorial errors in the future of landfill statement of proposal prior to the documents being published and released for public consultation. So, and supporting documentation is what I was going to add. So that would give then those the ability to be able to make those errors, those changes that are not material.
In that case, those ones I mentioned before, that I asked about.
The ones that Tessa said that, were easy to.
She said she was comfortable.
Yes,
with,
yes.
Which was why I asked her about.
Sorry?
Yes. He asked about a range of things, but I specifically mentioned the one that I openly discussed in the decision for.
It's in there.
Option.
Mentioned in there. You're talking about option 5.
I think Councillor Mitchell's asking about the redacted version of the business case, which is up there, and she's asking if those things mentioned are going to be put back.
Yes.
Yeah, including what I asked, yes or no.
So what did you ask specifically?
Manawatu District Council.
No. The Manawatu District Council was not one of those. No. So my suggestion is that in response to Councillor Mitchell's comments, that the only changes to the redacted copy of the business case will be those that are available in the public domain through things like our annual report and pieces like that. If we start getting into a conversation around all sorts of matters, we could be here for a long time in terms of that, and there is risk that then there will be information that could possibly be shared in the public domain that is commercially sensitive.
So I am going to be voting against adoption of the proposed statement, not because I'm against going out and doing this process, but simply because you've just seen around this table how clumsy this process has become. There is information that the public should be entitled to see that they will not be entitled to see. I look at page 10 of the statement of proposal, where it says all information that is not commercially sensitive is publicly available. Well, that statement is false. I have been through the business case, and there is information that is being withheld for reasons other than commercial. Well, I can see no proper basis in terms of commercial sensitivity. In a number of cases, it's simply because it's potentially just some awkward commentary that perhaps we don't want people to see or read. But look, I just don't understand why this organisation, this council, just continues to head down this route of not wanting to be as transparent and as open as we could possibly be, and just settling, as you have suggested, Mr. Mayor, for actually I won't go there. So there are a number of issues with the statement of proposal as well, in terms of some of the information that should be in here. Absolutely, the underlying assumption sitting behind all options, including the preferred option, should absolutely be contained in here, but is not. I look at the front page of the statement of proposal, and it talks about why we're doing this consultation now, and it talks about the review being required to ensure that current service levels for disposal of solid waste are maintained. Well, that's not true at all. That's just council spin. The real reason that we're doing this is because the contract for the landfill was coming up for renewal, so we were required to consider future services. But the primary reason is because the chief executive signed a landfill agreement that signed us up to a process that now has unfolded. And for me, there are still some significant questions about whether that agreement should have been entered into and
Councillor Jennings, I'm not going to relitigate the landfill agreement. This is not the time to do that. You've had ample opportunity to talk to the Chief Executive about that landfill agreement. He's not here to respond to any allegations or questions that you have to him either. So I'm not going to actually take any comments around the landfill agreement. Thank you.
So that's just continuing with the approach that I've become used to. So my attempts to ask information don't get responded to, and then I get shut down. So look, it's probably no point me saying anything more.
Nothing further. I'll put the vote. All those in favour? Against? The motion is carried. Thank you. Can I then just move to 3.4? That the Chief Executive be given delegated authority to correct minor editorial errors in the future of the Levin Landfill Statement of Proposal, 18th of November 2021, prior to the documents being published and released for public consultation, including any alteration to the business case where information is available already in the public domain. Do I have a second to that, Councillor Mitchell? All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. That brings our meeting to a close. Thank you to those members of the public that are still with us. And elected members, we will now take a short break and get ready for a briefing. Or dinner first, is it? Okay, dinner first.